Hi there, people. My name is Catherine, and I am your host today, bringing you 5 guitar basics you need to know. I've been a teacher for a number of years, and I was self-taught originally, and I struggled with so many things that I can show someone how to fix in just a couple of minutes. That took me years to figure out. So I'm glad that you're joining me. Yeah, so a little bit more about me. I am, oops, let's make sure that that's all good there. There we go. I'm Miss Catherine. Hi. Just make sure that this is all moved over properly here for my people on Zoom. There we go. I am the owner and lead educator at Flourish Music and Creative Arts. I am a multi-instrumentalist, composer, and dancer. I've been a music teacher since 2008 and a dance teacher since 2018. And I have a degree in psychology, so I'm very interested in how the human brain learns, sound therapy, and I try to bring that kind of stuff into my lessons as much as possible. So what you need today, you will need Zoom if you'd like to ask me questions. I will try to keep an eye on the Facebook chat as well, but that's a little bit trickier for me. You'll also need a pen and paper, or you can use the Note app on your phone. However, if you are using Facebook Live, you will not be able to use the Note app and listen at the same time. So pen and paper would be good. Having some water, some tea. I know I like to stay very hydrated, so that helps me focus. And you'll just need like a low noise and low distraction environment. So for me, that means my kitty is asleep on top of that there. She might wake up and she might be very distracting. So we'll try to deal with that if it happens. So just quickly, these are some of my projects, some of my bands. I've been doing lots of stuff for lots of years. If you would like to find out more about just my company and the kind of stuff that we do, lessons, mailing lists, all that good stuff, flourishmusic-aca.com is where you can find that, and also on our Facebook and our YouTube channel as well. Alright, so what are we talking about today? So these are 5 basic categories of things that a lot of people struggle with. I've been teaching, like I said, since 2008, and I see almost every single person has issues with all of these things when they're first starting out, and that's fine. We're just starting out. Again, I was self-taught, and it took me many, many years to figure out lots of this stuff on my own. So first, with the wrist and finger positions, yes. So curving at the joints, right? We're going to curve out our joints. We're going to use the ballerina tips of our fingers, and we're going to make sure that our thumb moves freely around the fretboard. So I am just going to go to this other video here. Yes, so you can see this other angle of me as well. So what I mean about curving at the joints is I see a lot of times people, let's see, this is kind of a bright light, so hopefully you can see this okay. A lot of times I see people with these very straight, kind of rigid positions. You can see from this side too. So people are very rigid here at the wrist. They're very straight with the fingers, and it's just not ergonomic. So ergonomic means it's not efficient, right? So if we're curving, nice and curved, actually like the wrist is more relaxed than curved. I don't necessarily want it curved, but relaxed. The tips of the fingers are on the guitar so that the fingers are curled. You'll be using the muscles more so than the joints and the tendons itself to push the string into the fretboard. So let's see. I got all these different scenes here so you guys can see this properly, hopefully. All right, so these all kind of go together as well. So just doing like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're just going to go like this. So if you have flat fingers, straight fingers, and you're not using the very tip of your fingers, so I'm using the pads here with my straight fingers. You can see how awkward that looks. I'll play through. It doesn't sound very good either. You have to work really hard for that to make the sound that you want it to. Whereas if you're on the very tip and you're having this curved, then it's easier to press the fret, press the finger into the fret board. So you need the string to press right into there to make the sound that you like, right? So again, it's all about being ergonomic and using the bigger muscles when you can. And this prevents too much pressure from being put on the tendons and joints rather than the skeletal muscles, right? So let's do just one more little example of that. So let's do like just this A minor chord. So you can kind of see this from this angle. I'm going to curve around here. So you can see I'm on the tips of these fingers. They're all very curved, right? And you can hear all of these strings. It's very easy to play those very cleanly because I'm on the tips of all those fingers. Everything is very curved. If I were to straighten out my fingers, it would be very difficult, right? Because I'm pressing, if you're pressing with the pad, you have to press quite hard. Whereas if you're pressing with the tip of the finger, it's going to be quite a lot easier. Okay, I notice a couple of people are joining. Just gonna check my questions. No questions yet. Awesome. Okay, so back to the presentation. So that's going to prevent injury. A lot of this stuff is about preventing injury and just making things a little bit easier for you. So like we were talking about just then, ballerina tippy tip of the fingers, and it's much easier to do that when your fingers are curved because there should be like little hammers curving, pressing into the fretboard, not pushing up. Right. So curved, all very curved tips of the fingers. Okay. Related, but not really. This is another big one that I see all the time is people squeezing the back of the neck and also having like a frozen thumb position. The only time you should be squeezing the back of the neck with your thumb is when you're doing a bar chord, and that's basically when you're turning your hand into a capo. You're squishing all these strings at once with the pointer finger, or you can use other fingers too, but usually with the pointer finger and the thumb. Then you're going to make a little clamp. But even then, people press really, really hard. They have like frozen thumbs, and it's okay. A big problem with a lot of this technique stuff is you're thinking really hard. You're trying to learn new stuff. It's difficult, and so you're not super aware of what your body is doing because you're trying to, figure out what the music is that you're trying to learn. You're trying to listen. You're trying to read. And so it makes a lot of sense that we get out of our bodies and we're not paying attention to what's comfortable or what's necessarily like the healthiest or fastest way to play, because we're distracted by a lot of other things. So it's good to just take a deep breath and really focus on how your body feels. Easier said than done. So I'm just going to show the back of my fretboard here. So again, let's just do a basic chord. So I'm just doing like a C chord. So there's a couple different ways you can hold that. Sometimes you have your thumb kind of around there. But the problem is when you keep your thumb stuck in a way, or now if I'm switching to a G chord, now all of a sudden I have to do something really extreme to get into a G chord when normally you don't have to do that if you would just relax your thumb. So I see this a lot with just all sorts of stuff, right? Keeping a loose, free thumb. So a rule that I use is keeping my middle finger and my thumb kind of not parallel, but I guess parallel. Like when they're, like if I'm doing this, it kind of matches up with my middle finger. So if I'm moving up or down, it kind of follows there, right? If I'm playing some high deedly deedly deedlies, my thumb kind of goes higher. And also letting the wrist kind of rotate and letting the thumb rotate as well, depending on what you're doing. So let's get to the back here. So for example, I'll just play a diminished chord here. So I'm going all the way across. And then if I were to do this, if I were to switch the direction, so I'm playing like a 7th chord, minor 7th chord now. So I can get to wherever I need to go if I turn my thumb. So I can go from, you can see that I'm all the way at the lowest string on the 5 and the high string on the 8 very easily, and the other way around, as long as I let my hand turn and I let my thumb turn. So you can see that I'm letting this thumb kind of freely rotate as I'm moving around, right? So don't squeeze the back of the neck. Yes. All right, just checking again for questions. No questions yet. All right. So this brings me to my second point, which is relax. So we're relaxing the thumb on the back of the fretboard. We're also relaxing our shoulders. We're relaxing our neck. We are trying to keep our back, neck, and head upright. And when we're sitting or standing with the guitar, we're going to be mindful of where that tension and stuff comes in. So really common to grit your jaw. Really common to, squeeze your shoulders in, squeeze your elbows in. But if we're a runner and we're trying to run up and down the fretboard, right, and we're tense, we're going to be fighting ourselves every step of the way. And it's just not good for your muscles. It's not good for your speed. It doesn't make you sound good, and it doesn't feel good. Playing an instrument should be pleasurable. So just on the sitting and standing with the guitar aspect. So right now I'm sitting on the very edge of my chair, and I'll move to this one. I'm sitting on the very edge of my chair. You can kind of see this here. Let's see if I put it back. Yeah, you can't really see too much. Let's go like this maybe then. So I have a little footstool here, and I have my foot on top of that, and then I am resting my guitar on the leg right over top of, I like to keep it kind of close to the body, kind of hugging it in there, and then you can see that the neck is at a nice comfortable height. Even when I'm at the low frets, I'm not reaching super far. A lot of people will play guitar kind of like this, and so they're reaching really far, which is awkward, and you can see what that does to my wrist and my hands, which is exactly the kind of stuff we're trying to avoid, right? And a lot of people will play guitar like this too, with their heads kind of turned all the way in. And again, just trying to be conscientious of how you're holding your body while you're playing is really important. So let's go through this a little bit more. So related to this, always stop if you're in pain. And if you're holding a lot of these positions that are the please don't do this positions that I was just talking about, you are probably going to run into some pain at some point. Maybe not when you're first starting, but after a fairly short amount of time, if you're in those uncomfortable, tight positions consistently, you're going to get some sort of pain. Related to this too, warming up. Make sure you're warmed up. Doing a quick run or some jumping jacks or some push-ups to get some blood into your extremities before you're playing is super awesome, especially for kids or girls. We tend to have a little bit less upper body strength, a little bit less muscle in our hands and arms and stuff naturally. So making sure that those parts of your body are nice and warm and loose are really important. Hot water bottles can do this really quickly as well. And then if say your muscles are already really sore, you've been working out or you've been playing quite a lot, doing some push-ups might not help as much as just using some hot water. That comes to my next point, which is distributed practice. So let me just grab some tea here and check the chat quickly. No questions yet. All right. So distributed practice, what that means is doing practice consistently, little bits, but on the regular. So every day or every second day or 2 little practices a day, whatever it is, it just means we're doing a little bit at a time and then repeating and a little bit at a time and repeating. So it's not as common as binge and purge practice. I myself am guilty of this. Excuse me. Binge and purge practice would be, I'm playing 3 or 4 hours in a day. I might do that for a couple weeks. I might have a show coming up, so I'm practicing a lot, this or that. And then I don't practice at all for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So I see this a lot of times, especially with adult students. And if you don't have lessons or you don't have a band, I see that a lot for those people too, because you don't have stuff that keeps you needing to keep your chops up. The binge and purge cycle, it can be really effective to keep that excitement up. You know, you can build really quickly, but you're going to have that purge part of the cycle where you're not going to be doing it regularly or as regularly. It's better to try to just make regular practice exciting. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to do that in a minute. So learning is like building a muscle or brushing your teeth. So that means it's more effective if done in short sessions regularly rather than all at once. Because if we're doing this all at once, if you're brushing your teeth all at once, you're going to get a cavity. It doesn't really help you if you're brushing your teeth for an hour. It doesn't really help you if you're in the gym for 3 or 4 hours straight. It's a lot better if you're brushing your teeth 5 minutes a day. It's a lot better if you're in the gym half an hour or 45 minutes, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, right? It's a lot more effective in those little sessions. So distributed practice is all about patience and consistency. I know that those things can be hard. But you got to be patient with yourself because you are literally growing new connections in your brain, and that takes time. And it does take patience, and it takes a lot of resources for your body to grow these connections in the brain. And if you're telling your brain and you're telling your body this is important and you're building it up on a regular basis, it's going to grow and it'll be much more effective. Plus, you get less chance of repetitive strain and other injuries if you have appropriate rest intervals for your body to repair itself. All right, next section, common mindset hangups. So that binge and purge practice that we're talking about, we're going to talk about setting some daily goals and events to plan for, because that will help you be more consistent. Another really common thing I see is people who are comparing themselves to others, especially people in their family, maybe, or comparing themselves to rock stars, or comparing themselves to their friends when their friends might have been practicing for a really long time. And so you feel bad about themselves because they're not, why am I not where my friend is? Why am I not learning as fast as my son or my brother, you know? Or my daughter or my sister. I was pretty quick when I was younger. And also people tend to get really bogged down by fears, and you know, you have so much strength that, you know, we don't tend to put as much emphasis on. So we're going to talk about that as well. So, common mindset hangups, binge and purge practice. We're going to change that into having daily goals and events to plan ahead for. So for me, especially if I have someone else that is depending on me, it's really easy for me to, you know, step up to the plate. If I have a bandmate that's waiting on me to record a solo, I am there. If I have a student or an event, I will be there, I will be ready. If I'm just doing it for myself, I'm very inconsistent because I'm only going to do it when I feel like it. And, you know, you might only feel like doing something that's really difficult or challenging for you once a week, once every 2 weeks, you know, maybe every day, every once in a while if you're lucky, if the rest of your life is going really smoothly. But for the most part, we're going to put that off. That's just a normal thing that any organism is going to do. They're going to put off hard work as much as possible, and we're going to do what's nice for us, which is relaxing and having fun and maybe doing things that aren't as difficult, even if doing those difficult things is what's going to give us the result that we want eventually, right? So I would suggest making some sort of commitment to a teacher, getting a music teacher that you have to see every week. Having bandmates, trying to get into a band that you have to consistently practice for and show up for practices. You could have some sort of writing partner, or someone, a friend or a family member that you tell them, like, you know, help keep me accountable. You can plan a performance or a live stream. There's so many places now that you can post live streams. You can do it on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit. You can put live streams anywhere. It's really low barrier for entry. Usually people are pretty nice because if they don't like what you're doing, they'll just change the channel. So even if you're a total beginner, doing a live stream is something that is totally doable, and I really encourage it. Now that things are opening up a little bit more again, open mics, performances at, you know, house concerts, small performances, those are all things that are totally doable, and it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or not. You're probably way harder on yourself than anyone else is going to be. If you don't want to do any of that kind of live performance stuff, you could plan to record an original or a cover. Again, this one's a little bit stickier because you can put this off and off and off, but if you are really serious about doing it and you really want to have it, putting that kind of stuff into a calendar and saying for sure by this date I'm going to do this, then all of a sudden you'll find that energy and you'll be able to be consistent with that. Related to that first thing, get an accountability partner. It doesn't necessarily have to be a music teacher or someone that's in the music industry. It can just be someone that you trust to help keep you accountable. All right. Comparing ourselves to others. Just having a nice little drink and checking the chat again. Hope this is useful for you guys so far. Even if you're not joining me live, if you ask me questions on the YouTube page, or you can email me, visit me at the website flourishmusic-aca.com. I am totally open to answering all your questions. All right, so many of us compare ourselves to others, but we should really be comparing ourselves to ourselves. So everyone is good at different things and learns different things at a different speed. So, you know, someone might be totally fast at sight reading, but they can't improvise very well. Someone can be a total, you know, genius when it comes to doing advanced chords, but might not be a very proficient lead player. Some people are just fantastic songwriters and some people aren't. Some people are really good at playing other people's music and some people aren't. I'm definitely, like, I write my own stuff because I am not that great at learning other people's music, honestly. Like, I will learn it if I need to, but again, if I have someone to commit to, or there's something important, or I really love the piece, other than that, I'd rather just write my own stuff. It's just easier for me. So comparing yourself to others makes no sense because they are them. They're over there with their own set of issues, their own set of strengths, and you are you over here with your own history and your own strengths. And you're comparing apples and oranges. It's really impossible to compare yourself to someone else because there's just so many differences between you. Another thing to remember is you are exactly where you should be. I see so many people who are, they think that they should be ahead. They think that they should, you know, be good at this or that skill. They really don't cut themselves any slack for their time, for the time that they've put in. They don't give themselves credit for what they have accomplished. They're always looking at that next thing, that next skill that they don't have that they want. And you know, it's good to just take a moment and appreciate where you're at and the work that you've done, for sure. Lastly, for this little section is if you need help, you should ask for it. Like I said, everyone has their own struggles. Try not to be discouraged by it, but if you know that you're struggling with something a lot, there is a whole industry of people in music education like me that are waiting to help you. There's so many people on YouTube, there's so many books, there's just so much stuff out there, and teachers especially, like, it is our duty to be able to guide you through all of that information and to be able to point you in the right direction if you're feeling lost. And most teachers, like myself, do offer a free lesson. So say you are an intermediate player or a beginner player and you think that you can figure stuff out on your own, but you just need to know the order of which to do things, you can come to a teacher or call a teacher and they will give you some recommendations. They will help you with a plan, probably for free, because if people are asking genuine questions, I know for myself, if people are really genuine about wanting to learn, I will do that. I will do that for free because it pleases me. So I think related to that too is getting bogged down by fears. A lot of people have a fear of asking for help because they have a fear of looking stupid, or again, they feel like they should know things that they don't. But again, just try to have some compassion for yourself and some empathy and some appreciation for yourself and how far you've come. But this is a pretty specific exercise. So if you have that pen and paper, you're going to want the pen and paper for this one. So we're going to think about achieving our goal, whatever that goal is. I'm just going to turn off my air conditioner because that's really annoying. Let's get that right there. Oh. Let's just do that for a second. Sure. I didn't finish that yet, but. What was I saying about quiet and distraction-free environments? Huh? All right. Okay, there we go. So think about achieving your goal. So whatever your main goal is for playing guitar, like why did you pick it up? Do you just think that it's cool? Do you want to write your own music one day? You know, just really think about what your goal is and write it down. You want to be on stage. You want your cover of a song to get featured by the artist. Let's give you a couple minutes there. All right, so hopefully you got something there. If not, you can always come back to this. Now, what about that goal is scary to you? So on your piece of paper, write down 5 things that are scary about getting what you want. So I know it might sound silly at first, but basically like if you're to be a rich and famous rock star, what might be scary or overwhelming about that? So you might have to travel a lot. Maybe you're scared of flying on airplanes all the time. Maybe if you're a woman like myself, the idea of traveling to, you know, a bunch of crazy countries is maybe a little bit spooky because you're worried about getting kidnapped, violence, anything. Or you're worried that so many people are going to be listening to you and that's going to be embarrassing. Or that's going to be scary, you know, having people reading your diary basically, reading all those lyrics, like a million people looking at it, it's terrifying. It's a lot of responsibility. Like if you're a big rock star, you might have, you know, how many people employed. And if you don't sell that next album, maybe you'll be in debt. So if you're at 5, great. If not, you can come back to this later. So think about how nice it is to be in the shadows. So what do you get from your current life? So, you know, one thing that came up a couple of times doing this exercise with other people is that being poor and obscure is pretty punk rock. So if you get popular, all of a sudden you're a poser. If you're making money for music, all of a sudden, like you might not be so cool with your friends anymore. It might make you different than your friends. Your family might not understand. So, you know, there's lots of good things about your life, just as it is. So you can write down 5 things just about your life as it is that are great. You don't need to practice a lot. You can just play whenever you want to. All right, so lastly, on that piece of paper, we're gonna just ask for those fears to be removed. So you can ask, if you believe in God, you can ask God to remove your fears. If you just believe in, you know, a universal energy, or you just believe in yourself, you can ask yourself to remove those fears, and then tear that paper to shreds. I really like the sound of the tearing to shreds. So if you do end up tearing it to shreds, please send me the video. Or yeah, just send me a recording of that. I love that stuff. Okay. So next one, oops, I might have forgot. So celebrate your strengths, right? So if you have a new sheet of paper, so write down 10 things about yourself as a musician or just as a person that you love or that make you special. So, you know, everyone's voice is worthy of getting heard, in my opinion. We all have a unique outlook or something really unique to offer artistically, even if we feel like we're not as good as some other people. We have special things to say, and it's the point of making music is not being Beethoven, but it's about using that voice. So, you know, you might be really passionate about the environment. So that could be something that's great about you as a musician. You could be, you know, really good at doing those leads or doing those chords. You might have a really good ear for learning other people's music, or you might be a great songwriter. If you don't know, again, just write something down about yourself that you like you're honest, or you're not afraid to put yourself out there. You're not afraid to dance and be the center of attention. Just anything. And you can write down as many as you can. If you get to 10, that's great. This one we're not going to tear up. You can keep this one. So hopefully you find some good things in there. Trust me, you do have them. If you're having trouble thinking of 10 things that are great about yourself, I recommend asking a friend, because someone has some nice things to say about you for sure. All right, so last little bit of this presentation here is caring for your instruments. Just random stuff, not random stuff, stuff about your instruments. So I get asked these questions all the time. So part of doing this is a little bit selfish maybe on my part, because I can just tell people to watch the video. So buying used instruments, guitars especially, take someone experienced with you, because you know I buy a ton of used instruments. They tend to be great deals. I've gotten some absolutely amazing deals on instruments, but there's also stuff that's warped and cracked, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you might not be able to notice that kind of stuff. Always test out new instruments or ask for a demonstration. So if you go to someone's place to pick up a used instrument, make sure they plug it in, make sure that it works, and make sure it's not crackling. Make sure that stuff isn't falling out of it. Seems obvious, but it's, for the most part, depending on the price, like there's some problems that are worth it to fix and there's some problems that aren't. So for example, I recently had a student who bought a guitar and an amp and a pedal for $75 on Kijiji or Marketplace or something, and I was like, for that price, like, yeah, just get it. Like almost anything that's wrong with it is fine. We can fix it. It turned out it just had like a little bit of a warp to the neck. I was able to straighten out the truss rod, which is, you know, we'll talk about that in the setup section here. It's not a big thing at all. Stuff like changing a pickup is a little bit bigger, but if it's like a really, really crazy deal, it might be worth it. So if you do buy a brand new guitar, most places will do string changes and setups on your guitar for free. always call ahead or ask a salesperson if you're buying a new guitar if they do that. Long and McQuaid does that. Just a lot of places will do that. Setups make the guitar feel better to play. That's a big part of getting a setup. They can help with like tuning, stability, and stuff like that too, which means you won't have to tune as much. But again, that's a little bit more advanced. Strings should not be dull or discolored. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this super well. I think this is a better camera. So I'll get right up close here. But yeah, you can see here that those strings are very silver. They're not gray. They're very clean. And that's what you want your guitar strings to look like. If they start getting gray or brown, that means that it's time to change those for sure. Try to keep them free of oils and dirt, as this can cause them to tarnish and age faster. I get asked a lot how often to change strings, and it's kind of dependent on how quickly they age for you. So if you're playing quite a lot and you are noticing them kind of get like a dead sound, then it's time to change them. I'm not going to estimate the number of hours because everyone's taste and everyone's hands and everyone's kind of cleanliness is different as far as how fast it'll age the strings. So just watch out for those signs of wear and tear. Amps, pedals, and accessories. So again, people are always asking me like, should I use this pedal? Should I get this fancy new amp? There's different accessories, like this is an EBO here, which is like a fun little, it makes your guitar like kind of feedback. I'm a big fan of anything that keeps you interested in the sounds you're making, and if that keeps you playing your guitar for longer, then I am happy about it. However, you don't need fancy stuff, right? But if it's helping you be interested in helping you continue playing, then I am all for it. If you want to play with a drummer or a full band, you will need a fairly large amp. Those would be referred to as like half stacks, or 112 is another, not a 112, it'd be like 212, sorry, would be loud enough to play. But for the most part, you just need a little practice amp, which is, you know, it again, price is kind of dependent. If you buy used, again, make sure that it's not crackling and stuff. But for a couple $100, you can get something that's pretty okay. Pedals, you can get them starting fairly cheap, but I would say plan on spending around $100 for a pedal. If you have an interface which plugs into your computer, then you can use some digital effects too. They don't sound super great, but they are okay. And again, if it keeps you messing around with your guitar, keeps you playing, keeps you interested, then again, I am all for it, especially if it's cheap or free. So, computers and recording equipment. I love recording my own stuff because I do have a lot of performance anxiety. I really don't need other people watching me do 100 different takes of a solo, because I do a lot of improvisation as well. So, you know, sometimes you have a stroke of brilliance and sometimes it just sounds like garbage. And, you know, I shouldn't talk like that about myself. It's not garbage, but it's not great either. So, I'd rather just do that stuff myself. You know, it can get very complicated very quickly, but you can start off with just simple recording apps on your phone. Like you know, even though I have all the fancy equipment and all the fancy gear, I still will just turn on my amp and turn on the recording stuff on my phone just to do quick little, record little quick ideas and riffs, and then I can put that on a looper on my computer or even on the phone, and you can play solos and stuff on top of it fairly easily. You can always look up videos on how to do that, or you can come for a consultation with me and I can help you do that as well if that's confusing for you. I'm obsessed with Guitar Pro. Guitar Pro is a really awesome program. I recommend it to all of my students. I do a lot of writing, especially multiple layers of guitars or different instruments. I just really, really love that program. I use an interface is what I use to connect with my computer. They're great. They can get a little bit pricey. Stuff can get a little bit more advanced and a little bit more confusing. More things can go wrong, this and that. But phones and microphones, I guess a microphone you still need to run in through an interface, but that stuff is all okay too. It does get kind of confusing kind of fast, but you can always look up courses on audio engineering, mixing and mastering on LinkedIn Learning, or you can hire someone easily off of Fiverr. Or if you're looking for local, there's just so many people that are in your city and in your town that know how to do this stuff, and they are waiting for people to come to them and you know, move forward. So people are out there and people care and people are definitely wanting to help you. And last but not least, caring for you, right? You are the most important instrument out there. If you're a singer, you are the instrument. So making sure you're eating right, staying hydrated, getting enough sleep. People tell you that stuff all the time, but it cannot be overstated. It's just so important. Plus, if you have a healthy brain is a faster learning brain and a happier human. So who doesn't need that stuff in their life? Again, stuff can get really complicated, especially if you have different health issues. But for the most part, like making sure you're eating lots of vegetables, staying away from stuff that you're allergic to, staying away from extremely like processed foods. All that stuff will make a huge difference, and even like a basic multivitamin can make a huge difference. Again, less chance of repetitive strain and other injuries if you're eating a balanced diet and getting adequate rest as well. Yeah, so that's about it for me today. I still don't see any questions there. Maybe there's some questions in that. No. Yeah, so I don't have any questions on here. Like I said before, if you are interested in asking a question or learning more, you can just post on the Facebook page. You can message me on my website. You can do all that kinds of stuff, and I will respond. And of course, if you had fun today, I hope that you did. I hope you learned something useful. You can pay it forward by giving me a review or a comment or a like. Oh, there's just so many ways that you can help out people like me who are making content for you and trying our best to give you value. Coming to future webinars, signing up for the newsletter. You can even purchase a class or a course, or you can pre-order my book. I do have a book for beginner guitar where we talk about some of these stuff, and I also walk step by step through actually learning how to play guitar, how to use proper technique, and how to read music. And the aim of this is to get you playing stuff that's really beautiful, that you can play with other people at different levels within less than a year. I also have a summer guitar supercharge coming up. It's only $75 a week, and that's for 2 hours of instruction per week. You also get access to all the recorded sessions, and you get an advanced PDF of my book. And that's available all on the Flourish Music website. And yeah, that's about it for today for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that that was helpful for you. And I will see you next time. Bye.